Hello, guys. It's DBJ. Um, let's talk about motivation and game balance. Now, I'm going to start this off by saying something that I'm sure, I'm sure a lot of people are probably going to disagree with me, but game balance is a myth, complete myth in role-playing games, tabletop role-playing games. Yes, the game designers can try their best to ensure that there is a numerical value that is equalized across the entire spectrum of all people who want to engage in the games. But ultimately, it will fail. There is no mathematical way, once you add in a randomizer, to ensure that every single player is in completely and entirely balanced against everything else they encounter and all player characters. Just impossible. You can't do it. Because here is the problem, and I always end my videos with solving the issue. So I'm going to state the problem. There are two issues when it comes to game balance that I hear in the blog and vlogosphere. The first one is game balance of the players in the setting, right? And it's a commonality amongst tabletop RPGs and players and game masters that a beginning character always encounters beginning adversaries, mid-level characters encounter mid-level adversaries, and then, of course, at the end, very powerful, intergalactic, godlike, extremely capable characters encounter the exact same level of opponents in the setting. Well, if you're trying to create a dynamic and far more gritty or realistic or even high action where there are going to be varying levels of chance and ability, it just doesn't make any sense. But assuming that you can create that static, the minute you throw a randomizer in, it doesn't work anymore. Also, there's the idea of balance of player versus player, which is a myth as well. Simply because there's no telling the choices that players will make and the encounters that game masters set up to ensure that every single person has the same percentage ability to achieve something when the game designers cannot control the randomizers that they add into their game. I'm going to also state that most game balance issues are not the fault of the game designer. It's our fault. It's your fault. It's my fault. It is the fault of the people playing the game. It has nothing to do with the game designers. Well, what do I mean by that? If, for example, take your classic 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons. If your only method of success is causing damage, then only the people that cause damage will succeed. If that's the only measurement that you allow in your game for success in any encounter is, well, the person who causes the most damage, thereby destroying the adversary, then the only people who are going to be enabled to have fun, to engage in the setting, to have some sort of impact are going to only be those people who can cause damage. Therefore, that means each character choice, each player choice that creates a character must be designed with the ability to cause damage, which means that every single class, feature, spell, doesn't matter, would have to cause the exact same amount of damage in any given situation, including using the variable. Okay, so let's go towards motivation, which is my answer to it. Okay. Motivation in this context means that the ability for your players to solve a problem will extend not only with the numerical capabilities of causing damage, because most tabletop RPGs, half the book is filled with combat. So including combat, non-combat, using the environment, social intrusions, and avoiding conflict and things. If you allow an infinite variable in solving all of the issues, then the game balance is allowed to extend far beyond the numerical ability to cause damage, but the numerical ability to engage in social interaction and the numerical ability to solve problems. Creating sabotage, opening a lock, creating traps, figuring out details or someone's weaknesses, sneaking, all of those things. If that is allowed to, if as a game master or dungeon master, you allow that to be possible to solve a problem, then those players who are not, quote unquote, numerically enabled to cause the most damage can solve a problem, when those who do cause damage may not have the answer for that situation. Thereby, it balances out for everyone. Now, balance should not matter with anybody else except those you're playing with, period. Doesn't matter what other people are doing at their game. Balance is the ability to share the spotlight and allow the effectiveness of each person at your table to have the equal impact in the game. Doesn't matter how much damage they do, doesn't matter about their numerical abilities. If a player wants to play a character that's 10 years old, who all their physical and mental attributes are, I don't know, 20% less than everybody else in the game, if that small child is the only one that can sneak past a guard or into through a HVAC system to unlock a door or place a bomb to sabotage the place, then that individual now is as effective as everyone else. So the biggest thing as a game master or dungeon master is, who are the people you're playing with? Doesn't matter about the rest of the game. If you're playing with a group without combat abilities, of course, talking classic Dungeons and Dragons, you don't have a fighter class. You don't have spellcasting classes. Everyone wants to be like a rogue or a trickster or a druid, and someone else wants to be could be a warlock or something, and everyone's scratching their heads like, well, where's the cleric? Where's the fighter? What does that matter? Play the game that is in front of you. Create obstacles for those people to solve. If you're playing amongst if your players are all intellectuals, give them intellectual problems to solve. Everything does not have to devolve down into brutal, static combat where one person dies, one person lives. So let's get to the point, because I've talked a lot. Let's get to the point. Motivation. Motivation is your tool. What do the things in your world want? What do they need? What do they desire? What do they fear? What is their motivation for existing? So let's start with the basics. Animals. You have a world, intergalactic world, where your players arrive and there are animalistic creatures on the world. Let's think of a movie like Empire Strikes Back. Luke Skywalker goes out into the cold. He gets attacked by a creature. He gets knocked out. He wakes up with his feet frozen to the ceiling. He hears the growl of the creature in the distance, and he knows the only weapon to get him out of here is within hand's reach. Why did the creature stick him up on the ceiling? Why didn't the creature just take all his hit points away and kill him and eat him? The creature had a motivation. He was holding him for lunch tomorrow. It's a frozen wasteland. You don't come across food very often. I need to save this for later. Your animals have motivations. What do they want? They want shelter. They want to protect their younglings. They're searching for food to give to their younglings. A giant spider There's a reason why a giant spider wraps its prey in a spider web. It holds it for later. Animals have motivations. Are they scared? Are the swarm of giant rats just attacking randomly? Or are they running from a fire and they're passing by the player characters in a sewer and they just happen to pass by causing attacks on their way to another location? Maybe the rats are, this is their haven and they're trying to scare them away. Disturb a wasp nest or a bee's nest, they attack for a reason. They're protecting the queen, they're protecting their nest. If the player characters leave the area, maybe the animal stops. Is the animal diseased or rabid? Is the animal, is it during a breeding season and it is used to conflict with other creatures and it's trying to exert its dominance or something? If the player characters, if you allow your player characters to do something else other than, well, I attack it. It's a giant snake. What do? I attack it. Okay, it attacks you. What do? I attack it. Okay, it attacks you. What does it want? Will it run? Most living things want to live. A bear does not want to die, right? A wolf does not want to die. A giant snake does not want to die. If it loses, if it suffers damage or sees fire or knows that one of its body parts is missing, it'll probably run or cower or give up or play dead. It has a motivation. Every living thing has a motivation. Play those things. You're the game master, dungeon master. Here's your chance to role play. You're not a bystander. You are a quote-unquote player in the game. I know many of you have heard that terms. The game master is a player. Yes, because they get to play everything in the world other than the player characters. They get to play every NPC, every animal, every construct, which is the next motivation. You'll probably ask yourself, well, what about constructs and automatons, right? Skeletons, zombies, golems. Well, created this automaton. Why? Okay, so let's take zombies and skeletons as a side note, right? You have your zombie infestation and they want something. They are motivated for something. Brains, blood, flesh, right? Well, there's a television show called The Walking Dead. When that motivation is removed from their presence, they stop. Hey, we're going to cover ourselves with the guts of the dead. Okay, the zombies start ignoring you. You could have a roll, maybe an arcana check, history, knowledge, some kind of intuition thing to say, well, maybe they'll figure this out, right? Or a skill that, well, you figured it out, make a roll to see how effective it is, or how long that effectiveness lasts. There's dice, there's randomizers. It doesn't have to be all or nothing. What about the other automatons that protect a hidden crypt or something? Maybe the golem grabs one of the player characters by the lapels, throws him out the door, boom, locks the door again. Players got to get back into the room, back into the crypt. The automaton may not chase them away, may say, okay, you know what? I'm going to grab the automaton grabs one of the player characters by the foot, lifts him up in the air, and then completely just stops. What do you mean he stops? He just stops. Well, can we get his foot out? Nope. Iron Golem just crushes his ankle and just holds him there. You mean like for all eternity? Yep. It's going to wait for him to die. Just wait for him to starve. Maybe turn into a skeleton. Remember the other statue you passed by that was holding up a skeletal leg? Yeah, that's what it's doing. It's a reminder to stay out of the evil lich's crypt, Allow them to have a motivation. Is it under the control of a mastermind? Maybe it wants something from the players, the people. It wants, every redheaded stepchild. It wants the magic sword that's being wielded by the paladin and will do nothing to stop to get it, to take this powerful artifact out of the hands of goodness and destroy it. Bring it to the volcano and drop it in there, right? Steal the Holy Avenger from the Paladin. Is that the motivation? Sure. May it ignore some of the other player characters on its quest to go after the paladin? Yeah, maybe. Could the players use that motivation to their advantage? Yeah, let them. Could the paladin go near a cliff and then somehow the spellcaster in their group, hovers the paladin over the cliff and all the undead flow off the cliff going after the sword? Whatever, sure. Did that mean that they caused damage to him? No, they just let all the undead go off the cliff. A solution to a problem because of a motivation. Okay, so let's talk about the pawns while using motivation. Pawns in your world. The pawns. These are the people that are, the evil lich, the evil mind controller, the stormtroopers in your world. These are the faceless masses. They are being told to perform a function as an adversary for your player characters. What is their motivation? Are they motivated out of fear, greed, anger, deception? Maybe the player characters can convince them otherwise, or run from them, or deceive them, or have them go towards even bigger quarry. Or maybe one of the player characters is a wanted criminal. You're playing in a dark, like Deadlands. It's like the United States Western frontier, and it's like the 1800s, and you're gunslingers, and one of you is wanted, for 10,000 silver or something like that for trying to stop the railroad from this evil railroad baron, and the evil railroad baron has made a pact with the devil or something. Okay, so the player character that's wanted and hunted runs to the east. The other player characters circle around the back from the pawns, who don't realize, because they want to go after the one that'll give them the 10,000 silver. It's motivation. Why are they acting the way they do? Maybe you have your pawns get zapped by the evil wizard with his blast of fire. So they concentrate all their firepower on the guy who's the most powerful. He's the cannon. He's the living cannon shooting fire out of his hands. Take him out. Don't worry about the people with the swords. Just put some shields up. We've dealt with that. But this person shooting fire, take him out. Or the opposite. Holy shit, did he just shoot fire out of his hands? I think I just Hershey squirted in my pants. I'm running, right? It's motivation. What do they want? What do they need? When bandits attack your party from on the road, do they just want some gold? They're not going to fight to the death. Maybe they can be convinced to trade information, or, hey, you want to attack us for gold? We can kill you. Here's a pouch. There's probably 500 gold coins in here if you tell us where the evil lich's lair is. And they go, well, I don't know about that, but I can point you the right direction. Hand over the gold, you're done, right? But then there's other motivations. Maybe the pawns backstab the player characters. Oh yeah, we saw them on the road, and just when we were going to attack them, one of them lashed out and killed three of us in like one swift move. And we made a deal for gold, but I can tell you, they've got more motivations. Then you have yourselves your lieutenants. These are the guys that are like right up next to the bad guy. They've got power, but they kind of want more. They want some more influence. Maybe they want land, political influence. They want that special magic item you have. They want your starship. They want something from you, or from the world, or they want to achieve some motivation. Maybe they're a lieutenant out of fear. Hey, if I'm just loyal for a couple of more years, I can get the hell up out of here. Or I can find a cure for this infection that's inside of me. Or I can get this explosive implant out of the back of my head. If I can only get just some more money, I'll just have to get it, but I got to make sure no one knows. Motivations. Motivations do not always have to work in the player character's favor. It is just a motivation. And of course, you got the motivation of your big bads. What do they want? 99% of the time, your evil, so-called evil big bad person does not think of themselves as evil at all. They have a plan. They feel that plan will benefit themselves and maybe others, and they are justified in what they're doing. It's the whole concept of it, the classic fight with the lawful good paladin killing evil baby children. Well, are they evil baby children? Well, personally, I'll give you my opinion. Killing children is an evil act, period. Doesn't matter if the children are evil. Why? Because that is a good person taking to their hands to take away the agency of another living creature. So someone will say, well, but my paladin is lawful good, and he's a lawful good paladin of vengeance and is out to slaughter all evil. That may be true if you can rationalize the fact that a child that does not know what evil is evil. And then someone say, well, in the monster manual, I'm going, well, your character doesn't know what a monster manual is unless they've been deceived and they've been told that all goblins are evil. All trolls are evil. All hobgoblins and orcs are evil from birth, period. There's just no way around it. They're just psychos. They're evil. Doesn't matter. Well, in your world, if there's a black and white, if you follow everything in the monster manual, like whatever alignment, drow elves are, they used to be chaotic evil. I think now they're listed as like neutral evil. If they're always neutral evil forever, then that means that your world, has a static alignment system. Whatever alignment you are, you'll always forever will be. That's what you were born as. If you have a modular alignment system where maybe there's a troll that is neutral good because he was raised amongst other neutral good people. If you have drow elves, well, maybe my drow elf isn't neutral evil. He's chaotic good. Well, that would mean that there are other creatures that way. But that's all about motivation, because alignment is one measurement, but motivation can take up a whole host of other things. You have 20 paladins that you feel are lawful good, and they can all be motivated by different things. So motivation is a big part. Let's take those lawful good paladins and figure out their motivations. Well, one of them is the leader, and there's 19 of them that are, following the leader. And the leader says, well, yes, I know there is a hobgoblin incursion that's about to attack that village. There are 100 people that live in that village. But if we let ourselves be known and stop them, the hobgoblin armies will know that we are advancing, and we will not be able to stop the army in a trap to prevent this massive 10,000 hobgoblin army from amassing. You must ignore the village so that our battle plan can go through. The leader of the paladins is lawful good, and he goes for the greater the good. Yes, when we get back, I'll undergo punishment. I allowed those people to be attacked and die. I am a lawful good person. I know what crime I am committing. I know I am allowing this loss of life. But at this time, I need to protect our city of 100,000, and I am telling you not to go. But one of the underlings, who's also lawful good paladin, says, hey, I'm going to go anyway. I'm going to ignore orders and save those people in the village. Does that mean they're both wrong? Yes. Does that mean they're both right? Yes. It's called motivation. All right? Use motivation to fill your world with what every living, thinking thing, from an insect all the way up to the most brilliant, godlike beings in your world, intergalactic races, intelligent rogue AI, mutants in superhero worlds, they all are motivated by something. Allow that motivation to have a consequence. What do the player characters want that intersects with what the motivated creature or thing needs? Lastly, motivation will help you when you don't know what your player characters are going to do. And I guarantee you, you will never know what your player character is going to do, ever. You can never predict what they're going to do. You can come up with 15, 20, 100 options. If the player characters do this, I'm going to react this way. It'll fail. Guaranteed, it'll fail. You won't be able to do it. But motivation Motivation is what you want. If you know the motivation of your NPCs, your creatures, your big bad guy, your lieutenants, your pawns, your automatons, allow them to act and react with their motivation based on what they see. If you have your big bad and the player characters, instead of fighting the big bad, say, we're going to join your cause. Does the big bad believe them? Maybe there isn't a big fight. But now you have another motivation. If your player characters decide to join the bad guy, your good guy paladins say, hey, those adventurers, they joined the bad guy. We are now motivated to stop the player characters because we feel we are the heroes. Motivation. What do they want? Sometimes a motivation is very simple. Some coin. Just to live. To get my gambling addicted brother out of debt. To save my daughter from the bad guys. To, please my father because he thinks that I'm a failure. These are little motivations. Maybe someone's motivated by a religion. The gods want me to build a grand church on top of that mountainside, and it's filled with hill giants. I want to get a brand new starship. They are rare and extremely hard to find, but I want the fastest starship. And there is a mechanic on this rim world who can, fix the hyperdrive on my starship. And I only trust this guy. He only works with the best. And I plan on finding him. It's a motivation. What do they want? And motivations can change. Motivations can absolutely change. Hey, the bad guy only wants some coin. But then the good guys, so-called player character good guys, come along and beat his ass. And he's like, coin? I want revenge. I'm going to take all my coin and pay someone to kill them. Motivation. I'm DBJ. As always, I like to end with Create, Don't Destroy, but I think I may change it up and go, when in doubt, role play it out.